Welcome to Tough Talk 911.
Because it's an emergency.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Sherry.
And we're here to say
what you won't say. Hey, Jen.
Aloha, Sherry. How are you this morning? Well, it's afternoon for you.
Yes, it's afternoon here, and all is well. I feel like it's been a week since I've talked to you, and it has been.
I was going to say, because it has been a week. Same that channel, though.
I know people always think that we talk throughout the week, and they don't understand. This is literally our first time talking. Every time we do Tough Talk.
Right? And it keeps it fresh. So I love that because we don't really discuss what we're going to discuss. I mean, we have a topic and we kind of just go with the flow. So this is all just all the conversations with us. And we hope that what we bring to you brings value to your life. So What are we getting into today, Sherry?
Jen. Sometimes we make this so hard. Why did we create Tough Talk? Because these topics that we talk about are so sensitive. All right. So today
Evita.
Yes, hi Evita. So Evita, Jen, today, world, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, y'all, we're on everything. But today we're talking about heartbreak. Heartbreak, and when the heartbreak comes from family and friends, and how do you prosper? How do you get restored after such penetrating pain? Wow. I guess I need to put the glasses on for this one because I got a feeling this one is about to get real deep.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it can be really, really difficult for people too. And so many things can cause heartbreak, right? Like you can just be heartbroken over so many things, different things.
So Jen, am I the selected one that will begin today, or is it going to be?
No, yeah, you go ahead and start. I got some stuff I want to talk about, but I want you to take the lead on it, and I'll follow your lead.
All right. So I think this is an area that we all know all too well. And for someone to say that they don't know about heartbreak with family and friends, just wait on it. Okay. Because
I would say, like, are you being truthful? Because I think everyone's dealt with it on some level, right?
You know what, Jen, when I was thinking about this topic, though, and when, we kind of decided that we were going to run with it, one thing that kept really coming into my mind about this heartbreak is that in order for your soul and your spirit to evolve, in order that your soul begins to grow, you have to kind of hit rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of go through the pain of things. And sometimes you have to repeat the lesson until you get it. And so when I was thinking about this topic, you know me, I always come up with a couple bullet items. So I'm just going to, just jump right into it today about the first bullet item when I began thinking about this. And, I jotted down a couple things, but everything I jotted down today, it is simply from my own experience. And it's from how I had to learn to restore my spirit, restore my soul, and to position myself to begin to prosper again in life. And the first thing I had to do, and I think that this first one, Jen, is the hardest step to take. I know it's the hardest step to take, and there's so many different dynamics with it. But the first thing we have to do is we have to accept what the truth is.
Yes.
Some people, they really don't want to believe what the truth is, and they will skate all around it. They will get team support. When I say team support, I'm talking about family support. Okay.
Right? And this. Blinders, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hi, Monica, you're exactly right. What did our elders say? Keep living. Exactly. But if you can't accept the truth, the mindset that you have in place as far as what you feel, your perspective on a different situation, if you feel it to be one way, whether it be the truth or not, you're going to try to lean to try to get somebody to support you that thinks the same way that you do, even if it's totally wrong. And so that's one thing I had to understand, that when you really accept truth of what's happening in a situation with family or friends, and you really, when I'm talking about truth, I'm talking about really tapping into your intuition. I'm not talking about what you think with your mind. I'm talking about when your soul, your mind, your body, and your spirit is totally aligned, and you know it to be true. And you know it is the right thing. You know that it's a space of, even though it may hurt, but it's a space of no chaos within your soul and your spirit. Do you understand what I'm saying when I'm talking about that? I'm not talking about anything external, because the external stuff is where we have to get validation from other people. I'm talking about people accepting truth within themselves and understanding that sometimes real truth is not popular. And that's the first sign right there that you might be on the right path, because it's not going to be the popular path. And it might be a very painful path, because it will be a path that you might have to walk alone. You know, I believe sometimes in families, and I feel sometimes with friends, that it's always one or two, but I'm leaning more to one person that is kind of being elevated in their mindset. And the reason one person has to be elevated, because somebody has to be able to see from up high, to look down low, to, hey, do this, pull the other ones up so they can begin to see clearly. But at the top, when you get there, when your mind gets to where you're supposed to be, and I'm not talking about being elevated from a very pompous standpoint. I'm talking about from a very humble standpoint, when God begins to elevate your mindset, when he allows you to see, okay, when he allows you to look at perspectives and really get a clear understanding of what's happening. When God begins to allow you to do that, yes, high vibes. Can you put that one up, Jen? So somebody actually said high. That's what I'm talking about. Working from
it is. It's about vibrations, for sure.
That's right. And high vibration. And that's exactly where we're going with this. You have to hold firm, but again, you can't get there until you accept truth, and being able to accept truth, no matter if you have a cheerleader or not. Okay, let me hold there, Jen.
No, I was enjoying what you were saying.
I can keep going.
Well, the thing about heartbreak, when it comes to family and friends, is what is it that we're heartbroken about? Okay, so what are these scenarios? Is it about you and your take on maybe what somebody's doing in their life, maybe how they're living their life? Like for me, recently, so with the death of my child, I ended up with cell phones, right? They're cell phones. And, I had an idea of how they were living their life, and I wasn't in agreement with how they were living their life. But when I had access to their cell phones and kind of just saw this huge validation of how they were living their life and who they were surrounding themselves with, and just, there were just a lot of things that just really struck me, and it hurt my heart. Like I had this sadness about how things were left, how they left this world, and that they never achieved what I thought was possible for them in their life. And that kind of broke my heart. And the thing about it was that's something I'm going to have to work through, because they're no longer here for me to even pursue that. Right. So that's all me. That's like my internal kind of heartbreak about it. So I've got to work through that. And also realize that they're an adult, right? They were an adult. They were living the life that they wanted to live. And although I didn't agree with what they lived or how they lived, there are things that I need to cling to. as far as who they were and who I knew them to be. It was kind of a rough couple days after I got these phones, because for me, I looked at this person and I felt like I didn't know who they were.
Wow.
You know, and I don't know if anyone else has ever experienced that, but yeah, I just was like, who is this person?
And you know what, Jen? And I guess we look at it from two different angles. And it's so sad because I know you're saying you have to look at it from an angle because your child's no longer here.
Right.
And so now you have to kind of get through that heartbreak without having that person here to help you get through it. Yeah. And then I'm on the level of the person is here. The people are here. Because it's a couple people that I have some serious problems with right now, from friends' side and from family sides outside. And I could see these people and I can talk to these people, or I can, just, social media, sometimes they're in pictures that I'm looking at or what have you. And to see and still not be able to come to a space of resolve from a situation. I do know what's worse. I do know what's worse, what you're going through, because you won't have that opportunity because the person's not here anymore.
Right. There's no resolution for me. It is just what it is, but that's we why we're here though, is to talk about the resolution part, right? I mean, the important thing is, we all deal with heartbreak. We do. I mean, people they're going to let us down. They're going to, we're going to be disappointed in the choices people make. Right. And, while ultimately the choices people make it's their issue. Right. But the thing is that sometimes they leave broken hearts in their wake, right, Sherry? I mean, with the choices that they make, they leave broken hearts in their wake. And it's not like we're talking about romantic kind of, leaving a trail of broken hearts. We're talking about friends. We're talking about family who do things, maybe they are just so focused on themselves that they don't think about the consequences of their actions to others.
And and that takes me to my second point. And just to recap my first point about really accepting what truth is, and I still feel like that's the hardest step. Because that's a lonely place to be when you have to accept what truth really is. But the next thing that I had to work towards was understanding, recognizing, and embracing my worth. My worth. And I'm telling you, that is the step that I got my strength. Do you hear me? That is the step where I got my strength. When I realized, you know what? I know what truth is. I know how I'm supposed to be living my life. I'm supposed to be living my life in a way that I don't hurt, that I don't bring harm to people, that I really try to have some virtues in my life that I abide by within my heart. And at the same time, I have to have these virtues within myself and this honor, and it's not even about, anybody else external. This is the honor within myself. So I am proud of me. I want to be proud of me. It's not about anybody else. I want to be proud of the choices that I make on a daily basis. And when I got to that second step of understanding, this is my worth. I don't have to accept what you are wanting me to accept or what you are wanting me to accept. I don't have to support something that's not right. And I'm going to stand my ground, even if it means I lose everybody. And I have to leave situations, and I have to leave relationships, and I have to leave families or family members or friends or organizations. I don't care. Anything that is taking me from me, anything that's not allowing me to recognize my worth, anything that's bringing chaos within my life and not allowing me to see the light for day, anything that's bringing anything that's blocking me from God and my spirit and me really trying to go to the next level and being elevated over and over and over and over again. If you're blocking that, you gotta go. You gotta
Thank
go.
you. Thank you. If you like, look, I will not stand for people blocking my joy.
Right.
So if you are interfering with my joy, you got to go. You know, the thing is that you put yourself out there, right? And if somebody is not for your highest good, right? If they are not there for your highest good, they can't meet you up here. They got to go.
Yeah.
Because we're not intended to surround ourselves with people that aren't on our frequency. So you need people that are on your frequency. And, you know, heartbreak is one thing, right? But if it's a continued behavior, right? Because I look at it like this. I'm going to give you a chance to elevate your vibration. Okay?
Right.
But you have to elevate your vibration. And when you don't and you won't, you really do have to purge yourself of people in your life like that. And it doesn't matter. We had this conversation last week, that whole idea that blood is thicker than water. I say this is that is not true, and vibrations matter and frequency matters.
Evita has a comment, Jen. It says, my favorite saying is what other people think of me is none of my business. And the other thing to remember is people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Not everyone is supposed to walk your entire journey with you. And you know what, Evita?
Amen.
Yeah, amen. But you know what, Evita and Jen, to her point, Jen, that was the hardest lesson I had to get. And I'm going to tell you why. Because sometimes you have to say goodbye to some long lasting relationships with that.
Yeah.
And that's the tough talk right there. And you know, I was talking to my mom not too long ago, and my mother's she's almost 80. And, you know, and she's in a time period now where a lot of her friends are gone, you know. Mm-hmm. Right. One of her dear close cousins just passed not too long ago. And, you know, I talked to my mom and I said, Mom, how does it feel like being in your age group now? You know, because sometimes you never kind of consider how life is looking from somebody else's perspective. And, you know, somebody had mentioned something about our elders earlier. And it's something how when people get up in age, that's where they get so much wisdom that they realize some of the stupid choices that they made in their life wasn't even worth it. And so having this discussion with my mother, she made the statement, she said,
You got this, girl.
I know. She says she knows that she doesn't have much time to live in her future. Mm-hmm. as she did in her past. Mm-hmm. And when she made that statement, it hit me so hard because I was like, she's right. You know, when somebody gets up in their 80s and their 90s or what have you, they begin to realize I really don't have much time left. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, the steps that I make now, the choices that I make now, not saying the other ones didn't count, but these new ones really have to count. You know, older people.
It's that hindsight, right? It's that hindsight, like looking back and thinking about the choices that we made. And, you know, I talked a little bit about the regrets, like having some regrets about decisions that we made, but not living there, but having those moments where we think, oh, I wish I would have made a better choice, a different choice, you know?
Right.
And yeah, I mean, that makes total sense, but that's that hindsight, like looking back, everything's so clear, Sherry. And so, yeah, I mean, your mom has, you know, she's right. She has so much time behind her that she can look back and go, wow, I have so much less ahead of me than I do behind me. And, you know, that's something that's always hard to discuss and hard to hear for us, you know?
Right.
is, you know, we know that none of us are going to be here forever. Like none of us get out of here alive. And it is hard, you know, the idea that eventually she's not going to be with us anymore. You know, you're going to have to deal with that heartbreak, which again, that's, you know, something completely out of our control, you know.
When I think about the cliche statement that I know, you know, has been said over and over and over again, can we all get along? But it's so true when I forgot his name, who even said that? If you remember who said that,
Rodney King?
What's his name?
Rodney King.
Rodney King, yeah, because that was so long ago, but that statement has lasted forever. That statement got wings on it. You know, right. Can we all get along? And that is so true because you have to understand when relationships fall apart, when relationships break up, it's because somebody felt hurt. It comes from hurt. Somebody felt hurt somewhere along the line. And the second step to that is that after feeling the hurt, it comes a point where it has to be resolved. And that's where pride has to come down. That's where pride has to be relaxed because you can't resolve a situation. You can't compromise in a situation. And somebody is struggling with pride and ego because what you're talking now is that it's more important to you that you're right. It's more important to you that, you know, somebody sees your side and not really dealing with the hurt and the pain of the person. And Avita, she's saying it again, pride comes before a fall. And sometimes that fall is the broken relationships, the relationships that die. And you should not ever make somebody have to support you in a state of wrongness. You should never ask for somebody to support you in something that is, again, making their values go to the gutter, you know, or bringing harm or chaos to somebody's life or hurting someone. You should never ask somebody to support someone. What we have to do is begin to work on ourselves. And I love when we were talking about earlier, those vibrations, because energy is real. And you know, whether people want to believe that or not, I am telling you right now, energy is real. I can walk into a room, Jen, and not know anyone in there. But if there are people in there that got bad energy, I can't stay. I can't stay because I only have to open my mouth. My body won't be able to take it. I won't be able to take the energy that's happening in there because I try so hard on a daily basis to start my day in a high vibration, you know, thinking positive things, making good choices, making sure, you know, another thing my mother says before she goes to bed every night, she always asks God, that I hurt somebody today with my speech, that I make a bad choice.
Wow. That's powerful.
And that's her time of resolve because if God brings something to her mind, you know, that she has none, that's her time of asking for sincere forgiveness.
Right.
Sincere forgiveness. I see we got a comment here. Did you put Christie's up? Accepting?
No, accepting some will never be enough. They want to say you approve. Huge difference. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I will say this is that I accept you know what I mean? Like I accept everyone. I want you to live the life that you want to live. Okay.
Right.
But I don't have to agree. For me, accepting, right? Accepting is one thing. Agreeing is something else completely. Right. Accepting, I don't have to really take any, like you do you. Okay. So I truly believe that you do you, like that's between you and God, right? So that's me saying, okay, I accept that you're going to do that. I don't agree with what it is that you do. I don't have to agree with your choices. So it's very important to know the difference. And for me, I don't seek validation. I learned a tough lesson. Let me tell you a little story. And this is very interesting. And this is about validation and us seeking validation. So in my previous marriage, there was a little incident that we had, and my husband at the time thought he was being funny, and he had some work shirts, okay? And 3 of the work shirts were polos with collars, and 3 of the work shirts were t-shirts. Okay. Originally, that's what they were. They were 3 t-shirts and 3 polos. I went back to the closet and they were all polos. And I said, "Oh, did you trade shirts with someone? You have all polos, no t-shirts." And he was like, "No, they've always been polos." So he was gaslighting me, trying to make me think that I was crazy, right? But I knew what I saw. We got into an argument because he was trying to tell me what it is that I saw, and I needed his validation. I needed him to agree with me with what I saw.
Right.
So I needed validation to confirm my truth. No, I know what I saw.
Right.
When it came down to it, after all of this happened, he admitted, "Yeah, I traded with, Joe Blow. He wanted the t-shirts and I wanted the colored shirts." But because I required validation of what I saw, it made an argument.
Yes.
I didn't need his validation to know what it is that I saw. So keep that in mind. Stop seeking validation. What you see, if you see the truth and you know the truth, why do you need somebody to validate it?
And let's just take what you just, that example right there, and now I'm going to take it to the next level. Okay, not saying that this is what happened to you, but I'm going to take it to the next level by him not telling the truth.
Right.
Okay, by him not validating what you had already seen in the closet. Now I have to make the decision, and now I'm stepping into your shoes, or Jen has to make the decision now. Am I going to allow you to say what you said to me, and I'm just going to ignore it and go on with life? Because this is what they do. This is where the problem becomes. It becomes a snowball effect, and that little situation now turns into something else. And each time you're not speaking on it, you're not saying anything, and people feel like they can get away with it. And when you begin to stand your ground and say, "I know what I saw." Okay, I saw 3 polos and 3 whatever else you just said. I can't remember, but I know what I saw. And you're not going to sit here and tell me what I didn't see. And you're not going to belittle me. Okay.
That's how the conversation went. It got kind of ugly. Yeah.
So my point is, why am I the bad guy if I stand my ground and I stand firm on what I say?
Right.
And this is what happens. And I'm telling you, that scenario just right there,
We're divorced. We're divorced.
But that's what has caused conflict in some of my relationships, because what I'm saying to you is, I'm not going to allow you to say or do whatever the heck you want to do and put me in it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to allow you to say the things externally to other people and not think you're not going to get called on it. When you see me, you see me. But when I see you, I want to see you. I don't want to think in my mind, "Oh, don't say too much around her," or don't do that around him, because they can't be trusted. I don't want anybody in my space like that. Going back to what my mother says, I want to use my time, and I want to use it wisely. Yep. Chrissy has a comment, Jen. She says, she says, "I accept others too, but we shouldn't have to compromise our own beliefs to still love someone. Unfortunately, we live in a fallen world that constantly pushes that." Wow.
That is true. That is true. They want you to agree so much. They just want you to agree. Just agree with us. Now I'm like, no, I'm not going to. My standards are my standards, and I'm not going to lower. I'm not going to compromise my beliefs for anybody, right? That's the problem. It's about compromising your beliefs, like your moral code, that's who you are as a person. So yeah, absolutely. Don't compromise that. Never compromise that.
Jim, we have to deal with this statement. "I agree with all of you, but it is not easy or even possible in some cases to remove family members." Now, Jen?
It's true. Well, I will say the not possible part, is hard, and because maybe it's a parent, an elderly parent that you're caring for. Maybe it's a child that you're caring for. I get what you're saying, but I think if you're in a situation where you're forced to be in their company, you just have to guard yourself, right? I mean,
I was about to say, I feel like you can, because what you do now, you create these boundaries,
right,
and dare them to cross it.
Yeah, you have to guard your peace, right?
Yeah.
In situations like that.
And I'm just not saying this, but I wish other people would really feel this, because this is truly how I feel about myself. Because I'm gonna tell you, Jen, I really enjoy me. I love me. I really do. And I think I love myself. And I'm not saying this, from a standpoint of somebody saying, oh, she's all on herself. It's not that. And if you're thinking that way, that's not the kind of love I'm talking about. I love myself so much because I really realize the gift that God has given to us. I really do. I realize that this thing that we call life, it is such a precious gift. When I tell you, I really didn't become spiritually awakened. Now, I was in a family raised in a church, that whole little, saga like everybody else. But there's a difference in being religious and being really spiritually awakened. It really is.
Absolutely.
When I got to the point that I was spiritually awakened and I could look at the sun and watch the sun rise and watch it set, and it brings tears to my eyes because I can see and identify the beauty of it. When I can look outside and look at the moon and the stars around it and understand what a gift it is just to even be able to look at that moon and watch the progression from day to night and night to day. It taught me that so many of the things that are overlooked in life, that is what life is. And we're overlooking it. That is life. When you can see a fly flying around, and landing on a beautiful flower, that's life to me.
Yeah.
You don't look at the fly anymore as, oh, I want to kill it. No, because I've learned to appreciate all forms of life and understand the importance. So when you do it from that standpoint, and we go back to, can you dismiss family members? Can you dismiss friends? From that standpoint, I've learned I can do it very easily. Very easy.
Right. Well, and the thing is what people try to say, like, oh, that sounds so self-centered. The thing is you absolutely have to start here, right? It really is about, when you're on a plane and that oxygen mask drops, you have to put it on you first so that you can then care for others. And if you don't have this right, if you're not taking care of you, you can't take care of others. And so it starts with us, right? It starts with us. It starts with our goals and our frequency and our vibrations. It starts here, and it's like a ripple effect, right? And so you've got to figure you out. You got to love you. You have to love being in your own company. I say this to people. There's so many people that won't go do things by themselves, right? And enjoy life by themselves. Go out to eat, go to a movie. They won't do it by themselves. You need to love your own company. I'm huge on that. Right? Before you can be great company to someone else, you got to love your own company.
Gotta love. And now this is where the issue comes up. This is where the issue comes in, because the more I got to that level of loving me, understanding the gift that
Bye, Christy. I'm sorry. Bye, Christy. Thanks for joining us.
The more I got to that space right there of really appreciating life, case in point, my own life, I noticed that's when friction and problems came in with other relationships. It wasn't until I stood firm. That's when
they're not on the same frequency. That's why. See, what happens is we turn the dial, right? We're turning the dial on ourselves, and we're going up, like if you want to think about it like a radio frequency, like, they're down there in the low numbers, like 88 or whatever. And, you've gotten to like 108.9 and you're not on the same frequency. And so what's happening is that there's this huge disconnect because you're up here and they're down here, and the thing is that I always think this is that, like you said, when you're up here, if you can offer a hand down, right, to help elevate them to your frequency, then you do that. But the rule is you never lower your frequency for anybody.
And Jen, it's at that step right there. Let me just, I don't want to glass over that point that you just made, because that's a very important step. Okay, understanding. And again, I want to keep reiterating this because somebody can hear this the wrong way and think we're talking about somebody's high or mighty, and that's not what we're saying.
No, not at all.
You've done internal work here. You're at peace internally to the point it does put you at a higher vibration. Being happy puts you at a higher vibration than being sad. So that's what we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
But when you begin to operate from a place of happiness, when you begin to operate from a place of being grateful, okay, when you begin to operate from those places of that place, and friction comes in, this is a step where people will possibly make lies up on you, gossip about you, do things that's very hurtful. And I have had all of that done and some. And I had to get to the point in my life that I had to, and this took me a minute. In fact, I'm still working on this part because it's still a little sensitive, but I'm still working on how do I understand what this person has done and still come from a place of love. And I'm still working on it. I'm still working on that part, Jen. I'm still working on it because, and I say that because some things have been done that I never thought would have been humanly possible. Some things that were said, I thought would never have been humanly possible. And people would believe it. And I never thought was humanly possible. And so now you got to come from a space of, I know what they did, don't understand why they did it, but I still have to come from a place of love and respect. And that's the next lesson. I know that's the next lesson. That's the next level of elevation, of really getting to that mindset. To me, it's like having a mindset of Mother Teresa and Gandhi. That's what it's like to me. Really building that character,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like somebody said, live in such a way where if people gossip, no one believes them. Like, really? Like, really? No, that's not who I know. And I think that's a great way to live. And but the thing is that remember this is that you're going to, when people don't know who you are, like I experienced this with my kid, and these people that knew my kid, and then they're hitting me with things that they think they know about me. And accusations about me, like, oh, you abandoned your child and you did this and you did that. And I'm like, first of all, who are these people? Like, I don't know any of these people. So the first thing was their opinion of me doesn't matter. So I had to kind of lock that into place, right? So their opinion of me doesn't matter because I don't know who these people are. But the other thing that kind of got to me was, where would they get this idea? And so then it kind of hit me, because they're getting this idea because this is what my child believed, right? Wow. So because they can only get that from my child, and the fact that my child at some point must have felt abandoned. But again, there's two sides to every story. So I had to just realize that this was how my kid must have felt at some point, and they made mention of it. And because they are my child's friends, right, they're going to cling to that truth, what my child believes to be true, because they don't know me. So it was painful. I have to say that was one of the most painful things that I ever dealt with. But it only lasted a moment because I'm on a frequency where I can be realistic and say, okay, where is this coming from? First of all. And secondly, these people don't know you. So they have nothing to compare it to, right? So let that go, Jen. Don't focus on that. And I liked, again, what Avita had said earlier, what people think of you is none of your business.
Right. Yeah.
So I had to let that go. Like, you think what you want to think of me. I know it's not true. And so I'm not even going to entertain that. So, I might have been upset for, a brief moment, but when I thought about it and I realized, like, that has no power here. You're not on the same frequency as me. Like, right. And I felt bad for them because I was like, they all seem so sad and miserable. Like those kind of people that you can look at and they just seem like victims, like dressed in black all the time and just miserable people. And I was like, why do I care what miserable people think of me?
Right, Jen, this statement right here kind of goes with that. She says, but people who love you know you. And that's when I saw that. I said, that is so profound, because if you knew me, if you knew the heart of me, if they knew the heart of you, you would know there would be some things or some choices I would never do. Right. And that was what I had to come and realize in my mind, is that you believe these things that you've heard, okay? Mm-hmm. You have teamed up with people who have said untruths about me, and you believed it. You know why? Because you really don't know me. Because if you knew me, you would know my character, and you would know that that's some things that's something I would never do.
Yeah, you would know it's a lie. Yeah.
And what it does is that it clarifies the relationship, because that's what it did for me. It clarified my relationship with people. And so when, these situations started happening in my own life and people started dropping like flies, and, relationships I had for 20 years and I'm not hearing from the person again and clueless to what's going on, that's when I said, Sherry, these situations are happening for a reason. You have to continue to become spiritually awakened and understand that who you're going with now in this next season. I think somebody had mentioned that earlier.
I was just going to say that.
Yes. Who I'm going with now in this next season, these people can't go. And you know what? And Jen, I will tell you this. Where I have gone, to my next level, my next season has been a space now of I have to have people around me that I can trust. Mm-hmm. Because I'm dealing with finances on a different level now. Mm-hmm. I'm dealing with multiple teams of people on a different level now. And so therefore, those that are in close proximity to me, they are kind of like my right-hand people, because now I can't be everywhere at one time. My job literally is in 3 different states. So I can be in Florida and operating something that needs somebody to handle something in Atlanta for me, or in Alabama, or vice versa. And so now in hindsight, looking back, I see, God, I get it. Because if I had that group of people around me, they could have, taken my mind off of something that I really needed to be concentrating on for other people. One thing I'm telling my children now, be careful about the space that you put me in mentally, because there are a lot of people who depend on me now. It's just not about me and mommy's business anymore. I have people that depend on me now for their livelihood. And so
the thing is that people are just going to fall off as they need to. So that's the part that we have to be okay with. Yes. Right? That's the part that you have to be okay with, is that people are going to fall off along the way. And think of it like this, you're going on a trip and those people don't have a passport. Okay?
This is true.
You're going someplace, they don't have a passport to go. And so just be okay that they're not going to go on this trip with you. Just be okay with that.
This is true. Jen, this has been such a powerful discussion today. Thank you guys so much for all of you all's comments. Today, for the first time, you saw Jen and myself cry like big babies on it.
A little crying is good, right? It's just being real, in those moments where you get a little bit emotional.
I don't
And
know. I had to come out of the camera because I said, "Oh no, I'm about to make the ugly face."
oh yeah, I can be an ugly crier. My lips get all quivery and stuff. Yeah, Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there really is that. Like just have to remember, everybody's not meant to come with you on this journey.
No.
And so just be okay when God removes people from your life, right? Just let him. He knows what he's doing.
Isn't that the truth?
He knows what he's doing. So don't get too hung up when people are removed from your life, because there is a season, right? Everybody is not meant to be with us for everything, and lessons are learned, and don't ever see the things that happen in your life as failure.
Right. Yes.
Because I look at it like this: winning, either I'm winning or I'm learning.
Right.
I'm never losing.
And that's how I looked at it, Jen. I began to look at it from a standpoint of that had to happen to get me to this point. And now, in everything I look back in my life from the past, I realize I don't care if it was hurt, hurt, harm, pain, good times, what have you. Yeah. Everything that took place in my life, it had to happen that way because it thrust me to the next level, to the next season in my life.
This moment, right? Yeah. And when you realize that, when you embrace that every pain, every lost friend, every lost job, every cruel thing someone said to you, everything that you've been through has gotten you to where you are in this moment. And you couldn't, remember this, you couldn't change one single thing and not be completely different.
But Jen, guess what? If I had not have received some of those hard pains, lessons in my life, I know I would not have ever met you.
Right? Everything. Like, I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And, I made a comment to my husband this morning is, I want to make my dash matter. And if you guys know what that means is, when you look at a gravestone, we had this discussion a little bit. You look at a gravestone and it has your date of birth and it has your date of death and it has that dash in the middle. I encourage you, right? Make your dash matter. Make your dash matter.
And going back to what my mom has said, that she realizes that her dash is not as long as it used to be.
Right.
And that,
to the end of her dash, right?
Yeah. And
she got more dash back there than she does up here.
Yeah. And people have to understand that. I know, I'm in ministry, and one message that I did before, it talked about your life, and I put somebody's life on a timeline. And I had it at birth at 0, and I went to 100. And so I began to take years away. I said, well, you got to take 0 to 10 away, because that's when you're learning, you're with your parents. And then the teenage years, this is when you're going to make most of your crazy mistakes. And then the 20s is when you think you know everything and you realize by your 30s that you don't. So what you're really dealing with now? You're dealing with 40s to 60s where you're really supposed to be living life. And then by the time 60 on out, they're ready to just relax and enjoy life. And when I think that's what woke me up when I put that life on that timeline. And I said, wait a minute, we really are not dealing with a lot of years here. We don't have time for foolishness.
No, you got to make it count. You got to make your dash count. Make your dash count, everybody. Okay. Seriously, like you don't have time to be surrounded with negativity. Make sure that first of all, elevate yourself, elevate your frequency, grow, surround yourself with people that get you, okay, and who you can grow from. Like, I don't know if you guys realize this, but we all are an accumulation of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Okay. And so spend time with people that can elevate you. Okay. And like Sherry says, don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about my, high and mighty, like I'm better than you kind of elevation. I'm talking about elevating your frequency, elevating your mindset so that you can attract things into your life, attract good people into your life, attract positive energy into your life, attract finances into your life, all of these things, because the idea is you should be prospering. That dash, you should be living a life of prosperity and abundance and love and joy. Make that dash all that stuff, all that goodness.
So Jen, I have my book release is coming out real soon.
How exciting for you, and how exciting for us to be able to, get our hands on it.
Talk about it just a little bit. So the title of the book is called Stormproof, and I actually have partnered with other authors. Okay, and so my chapter is called Overcoming a Loyalty of Lies.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll give more information about that soon. But I'm telling you, when this partnership that Jen and I have, you guys, this is literally just the beginning. I promise you that. I promise you that. Where are we going? I have no idea.
Well, you know what? I'm going to throw something out there, Sherry. I think that I'm excited. I think we should start a Teespring store. And let's start some apparel with some of our really cool sayings. Like one of them could be like your year of birth, and it'll say something like making my dash matter since 1970.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Or like grounded in gratitude, or there's so many things that represent the stuff that we're talking about, right?
Exactly.
I think that that would be fun. So maybe I'll start working on that because I love stuff like that. So,
or you could just even say Tough Talk 911 with Jen and Sherry.
Yeah, we can do one of those too. Like you guys can, we need some fanboys and fangirls. So yeah. Start rubbing.
All right, you guys. So next week we are going to flip the script on our conversations, and this is something we've never talked about before, but we need to talk about it. And Jen, oh my gosh, I hate it, but I know I have to be transparent next week. Oh gosh, but this is such a painful topic because it took me a long time to get this area in order.
Me too. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. I think a lot of us are, right? Okay. So are we talking about the consequences of poor money management?
It's called The Cost of Being a Poor Money Manager. And I'm telling you, I had to have a hard lesson with that when I was in my 20s.
Some people are still dealing with that at 50 and 60. Some people never get the lesson. So we're going to talk about that because you know why? Because it's tough talk.
911. It's an emergency.
So I'm excited to get into that topic because it really can be difficult for people to admit that there's a problem. And then figuring out how to move forward and get things right as far as finances are concerned. So
that's one of the biggest problems in marriages today. Finances is a big issue.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to dig a little bit into that, how money, plays into our relationships with people, and how we plays into trusting. That area of trust is very serious.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to it.
Let me just recap today. I just want to make sure that we kind of do it in a summary standpoint as far as what we talked about today and how to kind of heal from heartbreak. And one thing that we talked about, from the very beginning is that you have to accept what the truth is, you all. You have to accept what is the truth in this situation, not anything that you've made up, not anybody looking at something from somebody's perspective, but really what is the truth? What are the hard, cold facts in the situation that I'm dealing with, and really being able to digest that. And then the next thing is recognizing your worth. So it's really only two areas that we talked about today. So once you can accept truth, the next step is now I have to understand what my worth is in this situation. And I can't be pulled into somebody else's situation that, first of all, may not even be true. And second of all, they may not have my best interest at heart. So that's where you have to know your truth, know your worth.
Yes, people have to want your highest good, or you can't surround yourself with people who don't want your highest good.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, we have come to an end. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for joining us. We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye.
Bye. Aloha.